Academic study skills, writing essays and reports. This class will be mastering effective communication for higher education, and the purpose is to communicate information, ideas and outcomes effectively in higher education classroom, and emphasize clarity, structure and appropriateness in both written and spoken form, focusing on writing essays and report. So, what are the learning objectives of this class? It is to help students present and communicate information and ideas, outcomes effectively and efficiently in a higher education setting. This will be focusing on specifically written communication such as essays and reports. The key skills that will be covered in this class will be writing essays and reports, organizing your ideas clearly, and presenting information appropriately. So there are differences when it comes to writing essays and reports. They're not written in the same format, so we will look at the different formats that they are presented and how you'll be organizing your ideas clearly. Writing essays and reports will specifically be helping you as a student in your preparing for your assignments and examinations. So these are important skills for you to develop. So what are the importance of communication in higher education? Communication is important because it provides clarity when presenting ideas in a straightforward way, and appropriateness in adjusting tone and style for academic context, and structure, organizing ideas logically for ease and understanding. So it is important for students to be able to communicate clearly, appropriately, and in a structured way so they can present their findings and according to who they're communicating with, just the tone and the style, and differentiate their settings. So for example, you wouldn't talk to your lecturers and teachers the same way as you would talk to your friends. Maybe even you wouldn't talk to your colleagues in the class as you would talk to people outside of the classroom in a social setting. And structure, communicating in a structured manner is presenting your ideas logically so you can understand them in a better way. So, key strategies for effective communication. Why we are talking about communication is because writing is a form of communication, and essay writing and report writing is different ways of presenting the information you are writing about. Okay, so it is important for you to know your audience, use formal academic language when you are writing both essays and reports, especially when they are being marked for assignments or assessments or examination. Be clear and concise, avoiding jargon and unnecessary details. Use logical structure. This is by ensuring your writing is organized. So follow the structure as they were presented to you. and you support your writing with evidence by integrating facts, data, and references. In this way, you'll be able to present your findings in a clear, concise, and structured manner with the relevant evidence, facts, and data that have been requested, and following a correct structure and way of presenting your work and your findings will guarantee you to be a successful student. Writing an essay. So writing essays is important for your studies. It's one of the ways that you will be assessed as a student. So it's important for you to be able to write an essay. What's the purpose of this is that you present an argument or a discussion on a topic and you explain it in a way that is relevant to your class, including some literature review, analyzing your findings, and coming up with a good discussion for the topic that is sound and well-rounded with enough information. So key features are introduction, this way you introduce the topic and explain or give a brief statement about what the thesis will be about. The body paragraphs, this presents and supports your points with evidence using literature review. So that's using books or articles on the topic that is being discussed. And then writing a conclusion, recap, where you recap your main points and reinforce the thesis or the theory or the topic that is being discussed. Okay. Tips for clarity is to use traditional phrases in conclusion, however, to guide the reader. So this will show more organized presentation of your work and therefore will be easy to understand and comprehend. Writing a report. This is an important skill in your academic studies, especially if you are preparing for a business course. This is where you use factual information, data and findings, and you present them in a clear, objective manner to your audience. So who usually would be your audience when a report is being presented? For example, in a business, so this might be the CEO or the investors, and you will show them what you're. So let's see here the key features of a report. And so it will start usually with a title page. This is where you write the name or the title of your report, and then there's an abstract which summarizes the findings of that report. You'll write this usually after you completed your report already. So it's a short paragraph summarizing and showcasing what you have found. The following section would be the introduction. This is where you talk about the context and the purpose, so what the report is talking about and why. So this is a usually short introduction, and it kind of puts in perspective what is to come and why this report is important and why is it written, the reason and purpose behind it. Next we have the findings and the results. So this is where the bulk of the report will be. These are the reason the report is actually written, and is where you present your data and your findings in a clear way, depending on what you are writing. So if you're writing a financial report, you'll be using, for example, if you're writing a statement, an end of year, end of quarter statement, so the way it's supposed to be written. And if you're talking about something else, you might be presenting it in a graph or a chart, or using bullet points. So this is clear way, concise to showcase the findings. The next section usually is discussion or analysis of your findings. So this is where you interpret your results and you discuss the implications. So was it a positive, negative, what can be done in the future, and how we can prepare for certain things and improve for the future. Finally, you are giving a conclusion to the report and recommendations. So things that went well, things that could be done better, and summarizing the findings of the report. So the language you'll be using is objective and factual information, and the way you present your data is concise and clear, using tables and graphs and bullet points where appropriate. And it has to be clear and precise, okay, emphasizing the information and the importance of clarity and precision when explaining the findings and the recommendations. Okay, so factual information, clear and concise presentation, and focusing on the data and presenting it in a way that's understandable. So here we'll talk about the key differences between essays and reports and things to avoid when writing each type. Okay, so essays would usually present argumentative information, so they are argumentative in nature, and reports will present factual information and using objective language. So the way they're written, essays are written in a format that's continuous paragraphs as you are discussing the information, so things that building up over time. When they are emphasizing the importance of the thesis and the argument that is presented, and then the next they would showcase the evidence and analyze the relevant points using evidence and critical thinking, and also engaging with the source of the information, and that going back to the literature review, and using language and words such as transition words and phrases like furthermore, in addition, however, weighing up your ideas and linking them at the same time. Whereas reports are written in a clear, concise manner, showing headings and subheadings and showcasing information in a way that's easily understandable. Okay, so this uses paragraphs and this uses more presentation style, a specific style for different reports. Okay, essays focus obviously on analysis and opinions. So this is usually discussing theories, whereas reports focus on presenting facts and factual information that are actually true, things that happened, how they happened, and what could be avoided in the future. Okay, essays they're not as structured and they are flexible in format, but reports are rigid, very formal and very structured. Okay, there's no opinions involved in report writing. It's a way of presenting the facts and then analyzing the findings and explaining them further. Next, we will look at common mistakes and things to avoid when writing essays and reports. So, when writing an essay, you want to avoid lack of clarity in your arguments. So your arguments have to be clear, or your theories and theses have to be written clearly. Don't overgeneralize and talk vaguely about what you are, the topic that you are discussing, and you have to have a paragraph structure that is good and divided in a manner that is required. So poor paragraph structure is definitely not the way to go. Okay, report writing mistakes that should be avoided are disorganized structure or missing out sections. So you want your report to have a nice flow. If you miss out information, how can you showcase your findings? How will you, if there's not enough information in the findings section, how will you analyze your information in the discussion? Okay, and writing in subjective or informal tone is definitely not the way. You have to talk objectively, telling factual information. Okay, and having an inconsistent format is also a big mistake when writing reports. So you have to be consistent and stick to the structure and the format that is required while writing that report. So here we have a task, essay writing practice. The task is you have to write an introductory paragraph for an essay on the impact of technology on the workplace. You're supposed to focus on the thesis statement and logical structure and flow of ideas. So in this task you're not writing the entire essay, you're just writing the first introductory paragraph talking about the impact of technology on the workplace. You can use or you can talk about different ways technology impacts the workplace. And here you can be talking about positive or negative impact and different variations of technology, such as social networking or computer programs, or different technological devices such as printers, or you might be focusing on other technologies that impact the workplace, external factors like the environment around where you are working or you expect to work. You can look at bigger pictures such as infrastructure and the location of businesses, or transport. The ideas are endless and there's a large range of ways you can discuss this. Okay, so just writing a short paragraph introducing this essay. You have to be focused on presenting your idea clearly and staying specifically to the question. And you have to have a logical structure and flow of ideas. So not jumping from one point to another. So, yeah. The second activity that you will be practicing will be report writing. This task is you have to write a brief finding section of a report on sales data of a business in the last quarter. So present your findings data clearly. Use bullet points or tables for clarity. Okay, so this is the section of the report where you are finding or presenting the data. So brief findings section, so talking about the sales data of a business. This could be an actual existing business, or just because this is a practice of writing a report, you can make it up. As long as you are presenting your data clearly and using either bullet points or tables to show your information and findings in a clear and concise way. Okay, so sales data for a business in the last quarter. So think about how the question is phrased. It's talking about specifically the last quarter, so you can't be talking about the beginning of the year and how difficult it is to present to make sales and stuff like that. No, so it's the last quarter of the year where the business has already established itself, and they maybe have already been selling the products, so things that are already in the market and they already gained the popularity. So this is some sort of a kind of a successful sales data, or for example, a product that is at the end of its season. So you will have to present that data in a way that it's like showing the trends and the changes and how that report will be focused on the audience of the report. So who will potentially be reading this report? Who are the stakeholders? You know, the CEO of a company or the investors. So what would they like to know? What will be their focus? Especially at the end of the year when they're expecting a return on their investment. Okay, so you have to keep all of those in mind. Verbal communication, presenting your ideas. So this is where you use oral presentations. So presenting is a key concept in business So you'll have to speak clearly and moderate your pace. Use visual aids to support your points. Keep it concise and summarize the main points in 2 to 3 minutes. Okay, so presentations are ways of assessing your achievements in business usually. For example, in real life application, if someone comes up with a business idea and they would like to present it to investors, they will have to have like a sales pitch. So how will they do that if they don't have presentation skills? Okay, so speaking clearly and moderate pace so you can come across as a confident person who knows what they are talking about. Use visual aids such as, like, for example, using PowerPoint presentations or different methods that will support the audience to visualize what your ideas are and your points. You keep it concise, summary, so you get to the point without waffling too much and wasting time and losing your audience. So you have to keep them interested in what you are saying. So here we have an activity. Present a brief summary of your essay or report to a partner. So this will help you prepare for a scenario like this if you ever happen to have a presentation that you will have to do. So you can use the examples in the previous tasks. For example, the report will be quite easy to present, as it will be something like a table or bullet points. Okay, so the person you are presenting to could be, you can imagine they are your investors in your business. So you'll have to talk about what was your end of year report and the last quarter, what were the achievements, how you're looking forward to the future of the business, what would you like to improve on, things like that. And presenting your report or the section of your report in a way that is visually appealing to your investors. So using graphs, showing the growth of the product, and how have the sales been successful. So they will be interested in staying with your business as investors, and they would like to invest more and potentially gain future successes together with you. Okay, so think about those examples and apply it to your activity. So here we have the common challenges and the wrap up. Okay, common challenges in communication or writing skills is the lack of clarity or structure, having insufficient evidence or analysis, and not adapting tone to academic setting. Okay, so clarity is an important point when it comes to your writing, because especially in a business examination or an assessment, you're expected to write at least an essay or a report because that is something that is applied in real life situations. Writing reports are daily activities in a real life business. So being clear and having a clear structure and an understandable way of presenting your findings is always good practice. Okay. To overcome also insufficient evidence or analysis is always something to keep in mind. And you can do this by applying your knowledge and in things that we have learned previously in this course, such as reading and researching, note-taking. You can use those in ways to find evidence for your writing and as well as analyze your findings. Okay. And not adapting tone for academic setting, as has been explained previously. This is when you are tone is specifically talking about the way you are presenting your communication, whether it's in writing or spoken communication. So what is your tone like? Is it professional sounding? Is it logical? Is it clear? Or is it just something that you use in like colloquial language and everyday jargon? So that's something to keep in mind and be mindful about. Okay. Solutions for these challenges are planning and outlining before writing. Planning will also assist you with trying to figure out what type of assessment you are facing. For example, are you supposed to write an essay? You're supposed to write a report? What are the differences and how are you supposed to present your findings? Also, reviewing and editing for clarity. So going back on your work and editing out things that might not be relevant, just to have clear and concise work that is presentable in a good way. So practice writing and verbal presentation. Always practice makes perfect. The more you do of something, the better you will be at it. So doing short tasks to better prepare yourself for things that are expected of you in the future. Okay, so the task for this week is, or the homework is, to write an essay of 500 words. So we already started the task by writing the introduction. The question was, what was the impact of technology on the workplace? So by the end of this week, you're expected to write 500 words answering that question, of which you already wrote the introduction paragraph by now. So go back to the ideas that were already presented to you and stay relevant to the structure of the essay and also the topic of the essay. So if you start, for example, if you wrote your introduction about technology in the office and very specific things like a specific computer program, you can't then talk about something else in the next paragraph. You can't be talking about or discussing printers and how they are not useful or something like that. So you have to keep relevant um, to the introduction, and stick to the question. So it's good practice to highlight what the question is asking you specifically. So things to keep in mind is the number of words that are given. This is a specific limit, and this is usually the case when it comes to examinations in higher education. So you're expected to have a set number of words, and if you're given specific set number of words to keep to, is usually good practice to, stay at that limit, maybe 10 minus or plus 10 words, not more. So just one sentence over or one sentence under could be acceptable. But if you're expected to have 1,000 words, having 900 words is, or 990 words, sorry, is quite acceptable. But you can't have 950 words, so it's 50 words less. No. So you have to keep to the number that is given to you. And then you read the question clearly, so you stick to the topic. So where's it talking about technology in the workplace and the impact of it? Okay? So that's a wrap up. Thank you very much.